Hey folks, this is John here in Montgomery, Texas, and I got another video for you regarding my TopCat mulcher. So I've been getting some questions about the quality of the mulching that the system will do, and I've got some video examples of the work that's been done, the product of the mulching. And so what one of the challenges I've dealt with, and I put this in a previous video, but it's still a concern for me, and that is getting new teeth for the mulcher. First, I'm gonna show you an example of why I believe that the constant reprocessing of material during the mulching is required in order to get a good end result. I'll show you an example of that here in a moment, and then I'm going to go down to area just below the house here that I'm trying to clear out, and I'll get you some actual video of doing that cleanup process. But first, let me kind of show you an example of why I believe on this mulcher, on the TopCat mulcher, with the teeth that it comes with, why it requires so much reprocessing. So you see here, this is the area where the tooth is cutting in, and you'll see there's the tooth area. There's a gap between the teeth, the next tooth, the next tooth. And so you can see here that the gaps are pretty consistent, and that's cool, leaving this piece here. But that kind of presents a problem in that, meaning if you're mulching, you've mulched that area there, you're going to have to come back, reprocess, come back, reprocess. So I think this is one of the reasons, at least for me, that it's taking quite a while to do the mulching job. So you can see the actual indentations right here where the teeth come in, and these are the teeth. If you haven't seen my other video on it, these are the teeth here. This is what they look like. Okay. And so you can see there's quite a gap here in between here. And that's not unusual for a mulcher to have a gap. A lot of mulchers, these teeth will be a little bit wider. Maybe they're staggered a bit to give you a mulching process that doesn't have quite the gap. And of course, again, I know I keep harping at it, but here's an example of a tooth that's already lost its carbide tip. It is right here. Lost both. Lost one here. As we go down through here, we can see now maybe I hit something on that side. There's not a lot of rock over here. There's a missing tooth right there, tip off the carbide piece. Once that carbide piece right there goes missing, I suspect this piece right here is going to start wearing much faster. So overall, out of the 39 something teeth that are on this thing, right now I probably have 6 or 7 that are already damaged or showing significant wear. And now these are these teeth in other brands, this style of tooth, this mauling type tooth. Typically they rate those around 300 to 400 hours. Now I'm looking at FAE, Facon, other brands like that. And so here I have maybe 6 out of the 39 that are already damaged, and there is probably less than 40 hours of work on this. Could be me. I don't know that would be the case. We don't have a lot of rock here. It's pretty sandy soil. Now sand can really be hard on these things, but based on that, within about 100 hours I should have to be replacing all the teeth. The challenge is, where are you going to get the teeth? So here's my call out. Anyone watching this who has a TopCat mulcher, who has figured out where to get replacement teeth, I wish that you would leave me a comment on this video or send me an email. Let me know. I'd appreciate that help. All right. So let me now go over, and we're going to go down here past the house, and I'm going to show you the work we're about to do, and then I'll give you some examples of the mulcher in action. Here's the example of the work I'm about to show you. This is the final job. I'm putting this at the front of the video instead of the end, because I want to show you where we ended up, and then I'm going to show you how I got there. So here's part of my concern or the difficulty I have with this particular mulcher. Some of this could just be my technique, but one of the challenges I find in every area I've mulched with it is this stubble, is the inability to get rid of all these stumps. You end up with this kind of a mess here. Okay. This is the results here. You can see the remaining, the leftovers. The challenge is particularly pieces like this. Okay. It is hard to get those mulched up because they find their way into the middle of the teeth, that gap between the teeth, the part I showed you at the beginning of this. I mean, I came back at this 3 or 4 times. You'll see how I went at it here in a little bit. So this is what it looked like when I started, and this is the end result. Really quite messy. I'd probably come back in with the mower and mow it down. That's a little bit aggressive for the mower, but they are sort of beat to a pulp, so they're a little bit softer than that. May be a lot. Yeah, see, that's going to be a lot for a mower to take out. I've ran over that piece right there 4, maybe 5 times. Now you can see I'm not getting really deep in the ground. I'm trying not to disturb it too much, but I'm definitely digging it up. You can see where it came around it. Okay. So the problem is, if you're trying to mulch this area out and you think that eventually you might come back in here, be driving around, you're going to puncture tires, step all over these things, walk through here just stumbling like crazy. So this is the challenge with the TopCat mulcher. The teeth that are on there, this is the results. And so my thought would be that it gets the job done. It's not perfect. You can spend a little more time and you can get rid of that. You've got to really dig down in the dirt to get that up. While it's getting the job done, I would say this, that if you're out on the Ritchie Brothers sites or wherever they're for auction, okay, and you're thinking about getting one, look, don't pay a lot. Okay, I would say probably 10, 11, 12,000. But if you're going to end up bidding on one of these things and you're paying 20,000, you might as well take that 20,000 and go buy you a name brand mulcher. Throw another 10 on there, buy you a Lofness or something that's going to have support, plenty of replacement teeth. Again, the TopCat gets the job done, takes a lot of extra effort, but if you're going to spend 20 grand on a bid on one of these things, you might as well just take that 20 grand and go buy you something much better. Let me show you this one last spot here, if I can get over there without tripping over this. This is a nice clear shot here. All right, so you see this? It's kind of hard to really get the depth on the camera. But that's the end result. If that's not what you're looking for, I'd find a different product. All right, so we're going to go after that batch right there, and it's a little more surgical. It's not quite the same as doing the woods over there where we're kind of surrounded. So we're going to go in and hopefully just take out only that which we want. The main goal for this is to show you what the end product is when you're mulching. So let's get started. I think I may have mentioned previously that this mulcher is definitely a high flow unit. So you will need high flow to get the RPMs required. Now I keep a pretty good eye on that gauge right there. The hydraulic motor specs out at about 2,000 to 2,500 megapascals on the pressure, and so I try to keep an eye on that and make sure I don't sit up there too high too long. But you can actually see on the gauge, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, so right about 2,500 it starts gets into the red. And that sort of matches the specs on the hydraulic motor that's in this unit. So let's give it a go. Get it out to level. High flow's on. You can see it kicks up there when it first comes on. It's now spinning. And I like to crank up the RPMs on the engine. Just about halfway. All right. I'm going to go ahead and take that oak tree out because it's so hopefully you can see that out there, that stubble, if you call it that. So this is where the size of the teeth and the spacing, I believe, is causing an issue. So you kind of have to reprocess it. You have to go back and forth a couple of times. We'll give it a go. And I am sitting a little high. I'll watch that little chain down there, and I let the chain drag just a bit. You can start seeing it, possibly, if you can. I'm not sure. Okay. So we've got it down to about the right height. I'm going to bring it up just a little bit, keep it out of the dirt, and we kind of slide over. Give it a little tilt forward, bring it back. So you see there, that's 2 passes, and we've still got quite a few stumps up there. If you were doing this in an area where you intended to drive through with a vehicle eventually, that's a problem, because all you're doing is creating these spikes that are just sitting there waiting to puncture your tires. So we'll just go through it a couple more times, level it back up a little bit, get after it. Tilt it forward some, let it dig in the dirt. See, now I'm down in the dirt, which I don't like to get down there. It just makes a mess. And you can see we still have a bunch of stubble left. Now, these saplings are small, they're green, they're very flexible. That's probably not that unusual, but these mauling tips or mauling teeth are not going to give you a clean cut like a blade or a knife. All right, so let's look at what happens when we come upon a pretty good sized tree. We're going to take this one out. This is probably, I would say, coming up on the max size. The specs around say have different. There's different specs out there. I see some that say 6 inches, some say 4, some say 8. But I'm telling you, about that size right there gives this thing a go. So we'll go after it and clean up around there a little bit. All right, so we're gonna go up. Now here's where it gets a little nasty. If you go up kind of high and you tilt this thing too far forward, you see the teeth flowing, all you're going to get is a bunch of stuff coming back flying and hitting you, and I don't think that's necessarily safe. So I kind of keep it forward a little bit. Come into the tree. You can tell when it's hitting. Now the problem is I can't see the gauge from here, so I'll just bring it down a little bit. I'm going a little slower than I might normal just to give you a view. We'll tilt it back some. All right, so you see that tree, it's doing a pretty good job on that. I didn't get on top of it, okay? I got just into the side, and you can see where it finds its gap. It'll find the gap between the teeth, and it'll just make that little mark. So let's go do this a couple more times. There we go. And we can come right down on top of it. Oop. Can't see the pressure gauge, but I can tell by that sound I kind of got up there. That was a little too much for this thing. Let's see if I can get the gauge where we can see it and kind of, I don't know if you can see it there. Yeah, see that? Don't keep it up there very long. Gotten to the point where I almost don't need to see the gauge. I can just tell by the way it sounds and feels. Alright, so you see the big stubble? I'm going to go at it again, go down a little lower. A little tilt forward. Drag it back. Have quite a mess there. So this is why I'm saying, for me, it seems to be taking a long time to get the job done, because I have to make several passes to reprocess. I could go deeper down into the dirt. I might make a little more progress there, but I don't really like getting the teeth too far down into there. See, that's a little too much. As fragile as these teeth seem to be. Now sometimes I can be ugly and I can just kind of come across it. Not exactly great on the skid steer. All right. Digging down in the dirt a bit. It's a little more than I'd like to do right there. Alright. Now I'm being a little more careful. I might not necessarily always go high, but I'm trying to get in there because I want to keep that particular oak tree that's right there. Got a little too far forward. Level it up a little bit. The way the skids are on the side, If you want to get down low without the tip out there, the way the skids are on the front of this, they kind of come to a point. If you tilt it down like that, you'll end up digging a trench. So I kind of like to keep it kind of level right there. That's right flat on one set of skids, which will get me as close to the dirt, the ground, while still having the teeth as close as I can get without actually digging into the ground. So with that said, then I typically just get it down there. You can feel the skids hit the ground right there. Come up just a bit. I am taking my time here for the purpose of this video, so. Too big. Alright, so you see that stubble? So I went all the way to the ground, and that's the area in between the teeth. So I've got to come at it, another run at it. I kind of came at it at an angle, kind of twisted through it. Still, you can see at least quite a bit of stubble. My thought is, if you're looking for a mulcher that's going to do a much cleaner job than that, this is probably not the mulcher. Pushing on that, I'm leaning into it, and that tree is so small it has found its way right in the middle of the teeth. I can go forward, come in at a different angle, just twist slightly, see if I can get it over. Do you see there? Because the tree is so small and flexible, even if I move sideways a little bit to get on a tooth, the tree will simply move its way over to the center of the teeth. So you just gotta keep working at it. Again, I know I'm belaboring this, but that's my comment on why constant reprocessing. You can see the grass is still in place, so I'm staying a little bit up off the ground, which is one reason the stump is still there. Now I'll just go ahead and twist it in just a little, bring it down an inch or so. See if I can get that out of the way. Bring it down. Again, if I wanted to get way down in the dirt, I could get rid of that. So this is just really just a style thing. Not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying if you're trying not to disturb the soil as much. Okay. Tracks need tightening. All right. So that's you know, after about 4 or 5 passes there, and you can see the track there in the dirt where the skids on the side of the mulcher are digging in. So it's well below the surface, so the teeth are definitely on top of it. Still. All right, so let's go after another one. Yeah, you can hear that pressure building. There's an example. It gets stuck in between your teeth. So I just kind of go over a little bit, come back down. Okay. how it sort of bounces around in between that gap? I'm gonna go up a little bit. Get that one a little higher. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Right here you see the mulcher stopped going down. It wasn't because I stopped it. It actually, that stump got stuck in between the teeth, and I was literally trying to push the stump down, and it just stops right there. And you'll see that happen a couple more times here, like right there. Okay, so I can tell by the sound that the pressure's gotten way too high. Is a little lower than I like to do. You can see the dirt flying off that thing. I have a lot of erosion issues here, so I don't like to get too deep, but even though I'm down in the dirt, I'm an inch or two down in the dirt on the sides of the skids, those teeth are in the dirt. You can see the stubble that's left. So it's I mean, it gets the job done. I can see it gets the job, but that stubble's going to be there for years. It's going to take a long time. If you plan on clearing out an area, like I said, where you're going to be driving around or you're going to be walking around, you're going to be stumbling all over that like crazy. So that's something we have to figure out how to deal with on the TopCat. All right, I'm going to go finish a little bit more here.